Thank you, and thank all of you for being here today. What an absolutely historic and great day. Thank you again for being here. I'm gonna do what I always do, and y'all know this. Is I'm gonna go off script a little bit. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago in Austin, Texas, and had the privilege of listening to some very inspirational and motivational comments by the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick regarding the Alamo and the fight for the Alamo and the fight for Texas with a lot of energy. And perhaps I really were energized by those comments because truthfully I agree with all of them. But what resonated is it really reminded me of our founder, Clara Driscoll, who, you may not know this, in 1903 bought the Alamo because it was going to be torn down for a hotel. And then the year later, she sold it back to Bexar County for $10,000 less with the stipulation that it would never be torn down. And so at the early age, in her 20s, she had a fight, just like the Lieutenant Governor, for the Alamo, a fight for Texas. But what I will tell you is her heart, her soul, and her legacy was the fight for children of South Texas. In her last will, she wanted every child in South Texas to have access to quality health care, regardless of their ability to pay. So she was a fighter from her early 20s until she passed, and this hospital is a continuation of that fight for these kiddos and the dedication that all of us and all of you here today have for these children. And so again, thank you for being here. And oh, by the way, this hospital, there's 32 standalone children's hospital in the entire country. So congratulations, you have number 33. Bless or continue to bless every one of you here to have the wisdom as well as the strength and courage in the future to do what's right for these children of South Texas. Thank you for being here, and we're going to continue to do the absolute best for these kids. This is the beginning, it is absolutely not the end. Now, again, a little bit off script. I'm going to introduce Matt Wolthoff, the president, but what I wanted to do is give the Lieutenant Governor a little plaque, and what it is these are actually a replica of the checks that she used in 1903 to buy the Alamo and the land at the Alamo that she bought. So I wanted to give that to you. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Matt Wolthoff. Matt Wolthoff is going to be the president of this hospital. He is a veteran of healthcare, just a great person, and has been in the Valley family for many years. So Matt, please come on up.
Thank you, Eric. And Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here. Senator Hinojosa, thank you for your continued support. Senator Shorter, thank you for being here as well. I want to thank all of you. It takes a community to do this, and I look out in the community here, in the faces under the pavilion here, and I'm just so proud of this community. We are on the verge of a major milestone in pediatric healthcare in the Rio Grande Valley. We are starting the first designated children's hospital in South Texas, an area with about 1.5 million people, and just a tremendously underserved area. This is going to bring a whole new level of care and service to our children. I want to highlight, our team and that all the red here, here with us. This is a world-class pediatric healthcare team. Not only the best in South Texas, but this is a world-class pediatric healthcare team. And I'm so proud of this team and what they've already accomplished, the mission that they've already been serving here in the Valley for many, many years, and what is yet to accomplish when we open our doors here in just a couple weeks, less than a couple weeks. So I just want to thank the team and give them a round of applause because they're doing a tremendous job. That team has one purpose, and that's to bring that new level of service and care and an entirely new level of resources to the Rio Grande Valley. And we talk about together we heal, and it takes all of us to do that. And that is our vision, that's our mission. Together we heal. And again, this new level, this facility is the next commitment in bringing that new level of total new level of commitment and resources to the Valley. The why is clear. It's children like Tiali Elaine Martinez, who is with us here this morning, who has been a patient of Driscoll for many years and will have access to care much closer to home. No longer will she have to travel, and children like Tiali will no longer have to travel to get specialty acute care. They'll be able to get it right here at home. She and her mother, Ileana Triago, is with us as well this morning. And Tiali was diagnosed many years ago with face syndrome. It's a syndrome that affects her brain and her heart. But her mother constantly describes her as a perseverant young lady, and we know that by, she's been with us now. We broke ground in November of 21, and I got the pleasure of meeting her back over 2 years ago, and it's very, very apparent that she is a perseverant young lady, and we're so proud of her and you. And so I'd like to introduce you to come up and say a few words, and it's my honor to introduce you to do that, and I'd like to give you and your family a round of applause.
Good morning, Driscoll staff and community members. We welcome and thank you for being here on this special morning. On behalf of all the Rio Grande Valley families and parents, we are so grateful to have our very own Driscoll Hospital providing medical services to our children here from the Valley with different types of needs. We also want to thank Lieutenant Governor Mr. Dan Patrick and our Senator Juan Hinojosa for being here. We thank you for everything that you have done for our community. As it was stated, my daughter was born with faces syndrome, and we had to be traveled to Driscoll in Corpus, and it was a very challenging moment because we had to leave our families, our home, and stay for about more than 4 months living in Corpus and having all our medical care for Tiali over there. And having our very own Driscoll here in the Rio Grande Valley is just a blessing for all our families here in the Rio Grande Valley to have this attention, this medical attention that is over there at Driscoll, and having it here in our hometown, it's an incredible blessing. And we thank our community members to have this here for our families. We thank you, and we continue striving for the best for our families. And thank you, Driscoll. Thank you for our community members. And we are so glad, we are so happy that we have our very own Driscoll that we could call home from now on. Thank you. Thank you from our bottom of our heart. We have a little frame here that Tiali is presenting to our Lieutenant Governor. Once again, thank you. Thank you for everything that you all have done for our families here in the Rio Grande Valley.
She's a big 5-year-old. I have 8 grandchildren. I know what this is like. Ready to go down? Here we go. Whoop.
Thank you very much, Tiali and Ileana. As you can see, there's so many stories, Driscoll stories, and now with this great hospital in the Rio Grande Valley, we're gonna be getting the families closer and to be together when they're most needed. And at this time, I would like to ask our Senator Juan Hinojosa to come to the front, please.
Thank you. And I have the privilege of introducing our Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick. But before I do that, I want to introduce a very dear colleague of mine, Senator Schwartner, who is an orthopedic surgeon, one of the best. Senator, could you please get up? You know, I have the privilege of introducing our Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick. He was elected to the Texas Senate in 2006. And then he ran for Lieutenant Governor and won in 2014. So I've served with him as the presiding officer of the Senate, as he is, for now almost 18, 19 years. So we know each other pretty well. And I have to tell you that he is a very principled conservative, one that focuses on growing our economy, creating jobs, making Texas a place where families can live, work, and feel secure. But one of his key issues has been property taxes, finding ways to lower property taxes, finding ways to lower business taxes. In this last session, he was very successful in pushing $8 billion of property taxes to benefit our property owners. Now, he can negotiate and be hard as nails, but he really has a soft heart for children, a soft heart for health care, finding ways to provide additional funding to build up the infrastructure of health care to help our families. Because health is always a priority, more important than anything else. For us here in the Valley, we're very blessed to have him as our Lieutenant Governor, who is focused on increasing funding, not only for a medical school, but $6 million to create a level 1 trauma center here at DHR. Set aside $16 million to increase our lab capacity here in the Rio Grande Valley. We have $44.9 million to have a cancer surgical center here in the Valley. So he is committed to the Valley. He's not only, as they say, does the talk, he does the walk. And I'll tell you, he also, with his leadership, we were able to set aside $85 million in partnership with DHR to create a mental health hospital right here in Hidalgo County. Another $125 million for a high-level security hospital in Harlingen and Cameron County. Supported our medical school. I will tell you that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is really committed to Rio Grande Valley to keep our community safe, including border security. I will let you have introduction of my good friend, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Thank you, Senator. I don't think I've ever seen him in 17 years without the hat. I thought there was hair there. You know what? One of the things I remember fondly is my mom, who has passed now. She lived a great life to 90. But when I was elected to the Senate, we have a ladies' gala the night before the Senate. commences, and each senator has a table of 10. There's 31 senators, so it's about 310 people there and some special guests. And my mom came, and you all danced the night away. You know my mom back then, and always appreciated that. She loved you. She said, "Who's that senator I dance with? Where's he from?" And Senator Swertner, he's now working in the Valley. How many days a month? 10 days a month during orthopedic surgery in the Valley. So thank you for coming down here and giving your time, Senator Swertner. He's the chair of our Business and Commerce Committee. And you can give him applause for that. And I have to tell you, one of the reasons, and you ticked off a lot of numbers, a lot of dollars that we've given to the Valley, it's because he's vice chair of finance, okay? And when you're vice chair of finance, you're pretty darn powerful. And Senator Huffman, and before that, Senator Nelson were our chairs of finance, and they worked with Chewy so well together. So he and former Senator Eddie Lucio, and we wish his wife well. I know she's not feeling well, and you just did surgery on him, right? His shoulder, I think. Yeah, you do everything. You're the orthopedic surgeon. And hope I didn't violate any HIPAA thing. But Chewy has been the leader, and thank you. You know, your daughter is the reason this hospital is open. I'm not on any boards except one, and the one board I've been on since 1988 is Be an Angel. You can look it up a little bit later, beanangel.org. And our focus is on children with disabilities. And we just had our annual gala last Friday, as a matter of fact. And we started out with 5 volunteers, and maybe we took care of 200 children, and today we have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers, and we take care of about almost 7,000 children. We built playgrounds for children with disabilities that they can share with their brothers and sisters who do not have a disability. We provide hearing aids. We provide respite for moms, because you know, it's tough, it's hard, all that love, but every day can be a challenge for families. And so whether they need a lift for their van, depending on the disability, or whether it's just respite time or camp, that's what we're all about at Be an Angel. And Alonzo, who builds everything, I think, in the Valley. Alonzo, thank you for everything you do. Alonzo can too. The next projects we need to begin from here. We need to be looking at more facilities that we can provide for children with disabilities, because it's not just patients here that have pediatric needs that can be handled with on a short-term basis, as all kids have and grandkids, but long-term health care too. Senator Hinojosa recognized the $85 million we're spending for mental health care. Last year, in 2022, I traveled the entire state in a big bus. I was up for election that year, and I was traveling the whole state, and was down here in the Valley with my big bus. And in fact, I was sitting here thinking my first trip to the Valley was in 2006, and I think this is about my 18th trip to the Valley. I love the people, I love the culture, I love the food. I just love the Valley, so I always enjoy coming here. But one of the things I learned on that trip, and there were a lot of things I learned, when you do 133 cities in 17 days, you learn a lot. We didn't do 17 days in a row, but we spread it out, was we needed more mental health care facilities as well. So we put in the budget, as you know, as Vice Chair, $2.5 billion into building 6 new mental health care hospitals across the state, or joining hospitals, adding beds, and we made sure the Valley was a part of that. So thank you for helping make that happen, Chewy. This hospital is as Eric said, 33rd now in the country, the 5th in Texas. I want you to think about that. All the children we have in America and all the children we have in Texas, and there are only 33 hospitals focused just for them, and in Texas 5. And this is going to be an answer to prayer. You don't have to go to Corpus and stay overnight, and that expense and just the hardship on the family. So look, when you're a family trying to put food on the table, and one of the spouses has to always be away with their child, that's really difficult. And so I'm excited. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. You know what, I take pride in everything the Valley does, and we've just had so much growth here as all over the state. Let me put this in perspective for you. In 2000, there were 18 million Texans. Today, there are 30. So in 24 years, we've added 12 million people. And guess what? The projections are by 2045, which is only 17 years from now, another 15 million people. So in one generation, not even a generation, from 2000 to 2045, we will have grown from 18 million to 45 million people. And the explosive growth is in our big cities, of course, but also right here in the valley. So there are these needs that just must be met. Eric was talking about a speech I gave a few weeks ago, and I'm not going to do the speech here, we don't have the time, and some of it was on other issues. But I talked about history, and that there's no such thing as history. I learned this from a writer named David McCullough, who wrote the book 1776 and the book on Jefferson and Adams. And they're great books. And I met him 15 years ago. He's passed now. And he said because I was such a fan of his writing, and he said, Dan, you have to, and I mentioned the word history. He said, you have to understand, Dan, there's no such word as history. There's no such thing. History are just events in the context of time that happen in a place where people had to stand up, men and women, and make a decision, whether it was fighting for independence and liberty and freedom, or building their cities and building their country. And that we diminish what people have accomplished in the past because we look back and think, of course they knew they were going to win. This is America. Of course Washington and the founders knew they would prevail. Well, they didn't. George Washington didn't win a battle for almost 6 years, and had they lost, I don't know what country we would be today, but they would have all been hung and all of their property taken, their families put in jail. You go through the Civil War. In 1861, there was no guarantee the country would still be won when it was over. If you go to June 6, 1944, when Eisenhower sent our soldiers to Omaha Beach, there was no guarantee they were going to have a victory, and no guarantee that war would end in our favor. And I can take you through history. I was speaking just yesterday at a luncheon to honor Apollo astronaut, a friend of mine. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame for flight, and he flew on Apollo 7. That was the first flight after Apollo 1 burned on the pad. There was no guarantee Apollo 7 was going to be successful to get us to the moon. And I can go through all the way up to this time. My point is that we look back on history, and sometimes we diminish what they accomplished. They took great risk based on the decisions that they could make at that time. And we say, well, of course we knew they were going to be successful. And now we live in a time when history will judge us. And we have this beautiful hospital. We have Women's Hospital. We have universities of all growth. Well, today you may say, or the citizens of the Valley may say, well, of course we knew that would happen. No, there was no guarantee. It took you all to step up. It took you all to step up. It took Alonzo to step up. It took the entire community. People who could give a little, people who could donate their time, people who are willing to work hard, and people who are willing to get their education and stay in the Valley or come back to the Valley. So what you have today in the Valley is a shining example of what can happen when people work together. In the legislature, we work together, and we want the Valley to be successful. Look, I represent 29 million people. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, people who have never voted, it doesn't matter. Our job is to make sure that every child has a future to live the American dream. You can't live the American dream without a quality education. We're focused on that all the time. And you cannot live the American dream unless you have good health. And so those 700 or 800, Alonzo was telling me this morning, 700 or 800 babies born every month, well, they have healthcare needs. Some of them severe, some of them, like all kids, they're going to need it to be tended to. And now you have a place in the Valley that they can go to. And their families can have hope, and they can have the care that they need. It's really significant. And so when people look back 30 years from now on this day, this hospital will already be 30 years old by then. And they may forget today, they may forget Eric and Matt and Teresa and everyone who was here today. It doesn't matter. You're building the foundation for the future, just like Clara Driscoll did when she bought the Alamo and she put money for health care for children and others. So you're a part of history today, and that's what David McCullough reminded me. There is no such thing as the history of the past. We're living in a history right now, and you all should be very proud of what you've accomplished. It's the foundation to grow the Valley even bigger and stronger for children, and that's what we're going to do. And we need to put her photo somewhere in this building, because she's really the symbol of what this is all about. So thank you for inviting me. I'm very blessed to be Lieutenant Governor. I love the Valley, and my grandson has an event today, so I'm going to leave here and fly back to take care of one of my 8 because I don't see him too much. But I know you're having a big event tonight. Please enjoy it. So thank you for making me a part of it. Thank you all very much.